Mananasitus para todos hamzu. Welcome to your Guam Congress building. The Committee on Finance and Government Operations is now called to order, and the time is 0907. And this is June 25, 2025. First notice of this public hearing was disseminated to all senators and media outlets on June 18, 2025, with its second notice disseminated on June 23, 2025. The hearing notices were also made available on the Guam Legislature's website, our legislative calendar, and the Government of Guam's public notice portal. The committee will now hear Bill 44-38 COR, introduced by the Committee on Rules by request of Magaʹhågan Guåhan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with the Organic Act of Guam, an act making appropriations for the operations of the executive branch of the Government of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30, 2026, making other appropriations and establishing miscellaneous and administrative provisions. Today, this hearing will be held relative to the Mayor's Council of Guam. Joining me for this budget hearing is Senator Gumatauto, Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani, Senator Talai, and Senator Tello Taitagui. Okay, and of course, we got plenty of mayors and a couple of vice mayors, so we'll get to that in a moment, but a little bit of housekeeping. Those testifying on Bill 4438 COR relative to the Mayor's Council of Guam, please take a seat. And you guys are here already, and you'll be sworn in a moment. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone in attendance of Villadosturan Guåhan's general rules of conduct. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chairperson before speaking and shall state their full name for the record-keeping purposes. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance and nature of the bill on the agenda. Personal inferences to the character, motive of any senator or individual testifying are not permitted. The chairperson of the committee may order the removal from the hearing of any member of Villadosturan Guåhan or the public audience who fails to observe proper decorum pursuant to the 38th Guam Legislature's standing rules. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in immediate removal from this public hearing room. I know that we have the executive director from the Mayor's Council of Guam, and then we have also the, Mayor Hoffman from Sinahaña, who will be reading the president's testimony, President Jesse Yalek, who's currently off island, into the record. And then can we have any other mayors who are planning to testify to also maybe just please start making your way forward? If we don't have enough chairs here and we're gonna go to a second panel, if you're going to be testifying, mayors, please go and also rise with the panel. It is the custom of the Guam Legislature that whenever we're talking about fiscal matters, that individuals testifying be sworn in. So anyone who was planning to testify at this time, please rise and be sworn in by the Sergeant at Arms. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Chair, under oath, you may proceed.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. And I think the President would be happy to know that actually we could conduct the Mayor's Council meeting this morning because we have quorum. With that, Ms. Joy Jean, I know that you are the Executive Director. I'm going to defer to you to open. Please, Mayors, I know we all know you, but for the purpose of record keeping, please state your name and for the record and what village you're from before you testify so that we can do the committee report properly. Ms. Joy Jean, the way I've been conducting my hearings is that the center point, the executive director, or whatever managers are coming forward, I allow them to open with a statement and then defer to the panel in terms of the order that they'd like to go in terms of testifying. I know we have one mayor that wants to testify first after the opening statements due to a prior commitment. So with that, Ms. Joy Jean, please proceed.
Thank you, Senator Dueñas. Hafaday, Chairman Dueñas, members of the committee, and honorable senators of the 38th Guam Legislature. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to present the fiscal year 2026 budget request on behalf of the Mayor's Council of Guam. My name is Joy Jean Arceo, and I have the honor of serving at the Mayor's Council for being the Executive Director. I offer this testimony with deep respect for the responsibilities you each carry. with full awareness of the fiscal challenges facing our government, and with a strong sense of responsibility to the people we serve across all 19 villages. We are respectfully requesting an appropriation of $20,956,877 for fiscal year 2026, an increase of $3.7 million from last year's appropriation. I understand that any request for additional funding must be justified with clear purpose, and I believe this request meets that standard. This is not a wish list. It is a focused and necessary investment in the basic services, emergency response, and community support that our mayors are expected to provide every day. The needs reflected in this budget are not the results of sudden expansion, but the product of years' additional responsibilities, many of them set by the legislative mandates, and growing expectations from our communities. Whether it's responding to natural disasters, hosting emergency shelters, running youth and senior programs, maintaining community centers, or being the first line of contact for residents in need, our mayors are at the front lines. And increasingly, they are expected to do more with less. At the heart of this budget is our people. The Mayor's Council of Guam's team of over 240 dedicated employees. These individuals clean up after storms, operate senior centers, respond to urgent burial requests, and maintain gyms facilities that serve as safe spaces for our youth and manamko. Our employees are the most visible presence of our government in our villages, often being the only point of contact residents have with public services. While we've been cautious with hiring, the reality is that we are stretched thin. With each new mandate, the workload grows, and without adequate staffing in every village, we simply cannot deliver the level of service our communities expect and deserve. This is especially true in villages now that operate new expanded gymnasiums and public use facilities. Villages like Barrigada, Magaʹhågan, Maleso, Ordot-Chalan, Pago, and Dededo have either opened or will soon open new gyms, and each of these will require the presence of trained personnel to ensure that they are used safely and responsibly. These facilities are not just recreational. They are critical infrastructure for public health, emergency sheltering, and social wellness. At the same time, our operational demands continue to rise. We are requesting funding to maintain the essential equipment, vehicles, and supplies that allow village operations to function day by day. This includes everything from fuel, hand tools, and safety gears to vehicle maintenance, janitorial services, and basic office supplies. Prices have gone up across the board, and we are feeling that in every purchase order. Utilities are another major area of concern. As more facilities come online, gyms, community centers, and even new offices like Inalahan, we've seen utility costs climb dramatically. These aren't optional expenses. The facilities we manage are often designated emergency shelters and public safety hubs. Keeping them powered, accessible, and properly maintained isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. In addition to maintaining current services, we are building internal capacity and improving transparency. This year's budget includes funding for procurement training and basic office skills training for village staff. We are preparing our teams to do more and to do it responsibly. If granted greater autonomy in procurement or local contracting, we want to be ready to carry out those duties with full accountability from day one. Meanwhile, ongoing training ensures compliance with existing rules and procedures. Currently, the MCOG central staff has certified personnel handling every phase of the procurement process. However, to further improve efficiency and reduce human errors, we need ongoing training, and new procurement software technology will streamline processes and enhance accountability and compliance. We're also requesting investment in technology and capital outlay to bring long-term improvements to our operations. At present, the Mayor's Council lacks access to heavy equipment, such as backhoes, dump trucks, and similar machinery tools essential for road maintenance, green waste removal, and park restoration. As a result, village teams rely heavily on manual labor and limited light tools, which slows response time and increases physical strain on our employees. This year's budget request includes funding for heavy equipment and trained operators, enabling our villages to respond more effectively to cleanups, disaster recovery, and daily maintenance needs. Additionally, we seek district vehicles for villages without operable transportation and a centralized data management system to improve how we track, coordinate, and report on village activities. These foundational tools will allow us to serve as our communities better, respond faster, and maintain greater transparency in all we do. Mr. Chairman, members of this committee, this request is measured realistically and directly tied to functions and duties that we've been entrusted to carry out. It ensures we can retain qualified staff, essential facilities open and operating, and fulfill the responsibilities of our communities that have come to rely on us this far. It also positions us to respond more effectively to emergencies, strengthen village resiliency, meet compliance standards like the open government law that we take very seriously. Over the years, the legislature has assigned the Mayor's Council increasing responsibilities, civic programs, youth initiatives, environmental cleanups, disaster coordination, and support from APPROPRIATIONS, and among others. We have risen to the occasion every time, and we will continue to do so. But now we need resources that match these commitments. Without adequate funding, even the best intentions can fall short. So today, I respectfully ask for your support, not for something new or extravagant, but for what it takes to do the job well. With this investment, the Mayor's Council can continue to serve as the backbone of our community services on our island, ensuring that every village is safe, supported, and resilient. Sizuas Maasi for your time, your partnership, and your continued trust. I am happy to answer any questions you have.
Sizuas Maasi, Joy Jean. So I understand that the Mayor of Senatorial, Mayor Hoffman, will be reading the President's testimony and then followed by your own, Mayor. So please proceed, Mayor Hoffman.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Robert Hoffman. I'm the Mayor for Senatorial. I'm the Vice President of the Mayor's Council. I'm the Acting President currently. I'm going to be reading the testimony given, provided to me by Mayor Jesse Alec, who is the President of the Mayor's Council. Hafade Senator Dueñas. For too long, the Mayor's Council of Guam has operated under a budget that does not reflect the critical scope of its responsibilities or the real value it delivers to our community. A large portion of our total annual budget is dedicated to personnel. The men and women of our organization are the key components of our service to the people. As salaries and benefits and utilities, little is left to divide among the villages. Contrary to street talk, the Mayor's Council of Guam has voted for the last several years to distribute operation funds as equitably as possible, utilizing the village street inventory provided by the Department of Public Works. Despite consistent underfunding, the mayors have made remarkable strides in fulfilling its mission, often doing more with less. However, this chronic budget shortfall is no longer sustainable. To continue providing essential services, to improve outcomes, and meet growing demands, the Mayor's Council of Guam urgently needs an increase in funding. We are requesting an increase in the contractual service category to support expanded programmatic needs, ensure regulatory compliance, and maintain operational efficiency. Specifically, the additional funds will be used to, but not limited to, the maintenance of equipment, service and repair, heavy equipment rental and maintenance services, minor repair and renovation, and district information technology. These services are not permanent staff functions and are best fulfilled through short-term contracts. Contracting allows us to control the costs, access specialized expertise, and deliver high-quality outcomes without increasing long-term personnel costs. We're also requesting an increase in supplies category to accommodate the expanded projects and ensure sufficient resources are available to staff and residents. These include, but not limited to, maintenance supplies, fuel, community programs. These additional supply costs are driven by increased service volume and community participation. Ensuring availability of adequate supplies is essential for smooth operations and program execution and staff productivity. We request an appropriation also for the U.S. Department of Agriculture to control the islands-wide feral swine problem. This is not the case of a program overlap, but of a necessary intervention. The absence of a local service to control the overpopulation of feral swine in the villages demands our urgent attention. The USDA feral swine program has proven effective in many villages. However, a more extensive protrusion of their program will assist our local farmers and homeowners from damaged crops and protect residents from disease and environmental complications. We're also requesting an increase in capital outlay to support the procurement of critical computer software to modernize our operation and improve service efficiency. We currently do not have any software platforms to manage workflow. The improved communications between the 19 districts and the administrative office are crucial for government efficiency and effectiveness, not to mention the high risk of cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Without modernization, we face compounding delays and continued operational disruptions. This sum is only a portion of what is completely necessary to improve the services council-wide. Every district needs a new maintenance vehicle. However, we wish to request a gradual amount to provide those districts who are currently without properly operating vehicles. Distinctly separate from our request for heavy equipment rental, the additional sum for heavy equipment will provide an essential resource to the Mayor's Council one step at a time. Purchasing a backhoe with proper service and maintenance package, along with a certified operator, will begin to set up the Council to be more efficient. In conclusion, a budget is a statement of values. We recognize the need for discipline, prioritization through thoughtful stewardship of limited resources. Our budget request reflects a focused effort to maintain essential services, protect core functions, and minimize disruptions of the communities we serve. While we have made every effort to identify efficiencies and reduce non-essential spending, certain investments, particularly in contractual services and supplies, remain vital to sustaining thriving communities and avoiding costlier consequences down the line. We do not take this request lightly. It represents a strategic balance between restraint and responsibility. We are committed to transparency, accountability, and delivering maximum value for every dollar entrusted to us. If we believe in the work of the Mayor's Council of Guam, then we must fund it accordingly. The cost of continued underfunding is too high in dollars and in human terms and in missed opportunities. It is time to correct the imbalance and give the Mayor's Council of Guam the resources it needs to succeed. Sincerely, Jesse L.G. Allig, President and Mayor of PD.
Masi, go ahead and proceed with yours, Mayor Hoffman.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Dueñas and esteemed members of the committee. I appear before you today to express my strong support for the Mayor's Council of Guam's budget request. With over 20+ years of public service under my belt, the offices of the Mayor and their dedicated staff are the front line of governance in our communities. They serve as a vital link between our people and the larger government, ensuring that the voices of our villages are heard and that essential services reach every corner of Guam. Mayor's offices manage a broad spectrum of municipal operations, from coordinating local public safety efforts and maintaining infrastructure to organizing community events and addressing everyday concerns that directly affect residents and quality of life. The staff working alongside the mayors are often the unsung heroes who handle the administrative tasks, facilitate communication, and execute programs critical to the social and economic well-being of our villages. You already know what we do, and you already know what is asked of us, because many of you are on our village chats. and you live in the villages that we are charged with taking care of. The issues we face in the village, we face it together. Your home, your pride is our pride. All our family's well-being is front of mind. Properly funding the municipal operations is not just a line item in the budget. It's an investment in the backbone of Guam's communities. When mayor's offices are well-resourced, they can swiftly respond and effectively to emergencies, maintain public spaces, and foster community engagement. This in turn promotes a safer, healthier, and more prosperous Guam. Underfunding these essential services risks slowing down progress and diminishing the quality of life for all residents. One of the criticisms that Gov Guam is that they know how to build, but not to maintain. And this is true because we can't plan and budget. We always have to pick which battle to fight, what resource to send where, and what to prioritize, and we just hope and pray it can wait. It hampers the ability of local leaders to address the issues before it escalates and weakens the trust between citizens and their government. We don't like constantly being in urgency mode, or worse, emergency mode. For fiscal year 2026, I urge this body to fully support the Council's request. Equipping our office and our teams with the resources they need is not just a matter of governance, it's a commitment to the people of Guam and the future. And since I have you here, and you'll hear many more requests from every department of why they are important, please allow me to offer up some suggestions also. Please allow the freedom of each mayor and grant them the flexibility to use their allocated budget, no matter the source, to hire additional personnel for that fiscal year. Do not tie our hands. Like you have your Class 2 restricted employees here at the legislature, your committee and office budgets can be used to supplement it. Allow us to do the same. Warm bodies performing tasks and tackling everyday to-do lists is more efficient and easier. You can only buy so much small equipment, but we need that flexibility to have people to actually operate it and use it. Also, change the high school diploma requirement for Gov Guam employment for these specific positions. Allow anyone born before the year 2000 to work as a community maintenance worker or a recreation leader. They have enough real-world experience and are willing to do the laborious work in the sun, in the trenches at all hours. Let's capture them and have them assist us in those entry-level jobs which are non-technical. And lastly, the reclassification of the top titles for the MCOG. It's really hard to find work after working with the Mayor's Council because our titles don't exist anywhere outside. There's no such thing as community maintenance worker. There's no such thing as a municipal clerk anywhere else. But allow that community maintenance worker to just be called maintenance, and our municipal clerks to be called administrative specialists, and our recreational leaders to be called program coordinators, and our administrative assistant to be called chief administrative officers or chiefs of staff. This will allow them to compete and have the titles that actually fit their current job duties. When competing in the real world after their service, it accurately reflects what their job was at our level. Our $20 million ask is 2% of the governor's $2 billion budget. 2% to handle and take care of 160,000 people. Let's invest more. Si Diyos Masi, and thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, Robert Hoffman, Mayor of Senatorial.
Si Diyos Masi, Mayor. So before I continue with the rest of the panel, just because I think we need to add some perspective to the request, especially since you mentioned the governor's billion-plus budget. The fiscal year total general fund expenditures and encumbrances in 2024 was $8,429,518. In fiscal year 2025, the current authorized level for the Mayor's Council of Guam is $17,230,007. This fiscal year request of general fund, not including the special funds, is $20,956,877. The governor's request for the Mayor's Council of Guam is $9,600,000 and $24,109. The variance between what the mayors are asking and the governor's request is $11,332,768. This legislature in fiscal year 2025 provided for a supplemental budget of $4.5 million, which was Public Law 37-135. I make this opening just to say that in our pre-budget meeting, we discussed some of the challenges that the government has. Certainly, there's merit to everything we discussed, even in the pre-budget meeting. And so as we go through this process, we'll have very frank discussions. Some of them may include what you discussed, Mayor Hoffman, that and we've told you this in your pre-budget hearing, where you've assumed duties and responsibilities, some other agency must have fallen off and maybe isn't doing that job anymore, or maybe doing it on a sparse basis where you've had to fill in. So there's going to be quite possibly some creativity when we go to the table and get our final numbers, and we'll keep you, abreast of that. Some of you also, and the reason why I'm prefacing this, because I want to make sure the senators have the opportunity to ask the panels as the panel comes up. Some of you have approached our office, some have drafted bills for appropriations because of de-appropriation of federal funds. That is quite disappointing to me as the chairman of finance. I don't know how that happened, but we're going to have to continue to explore, what those general fund capabilities are to assume projects that were priorly funded by federal funds. So I don't know the mechanics of that. I don't know how it happened, but certainly I don't know what the opportunities are, particularly if those were ARP. But we're going to have to see if there's a way to rectify that on some of these projects. There are these projects that actually are associated with the responsibilities of your step-down facilities, being responsible for post-disaster in terms of becoming Tier 2 shelters and the like. So perhaps Gura or some other areas that we're going to have to approach on that. Because I'm just going to tell you, in the projects that I've seen, that unfortunately, that have been removed from federal funding, these are in the millions. I think my total request right now is close to $6 million in terms of defunded federal appropriations. So that's something that we're really going to have to address, because I'm sure, like I said, many of these came with duties and responsibilities when you listed what you were going to do with those funds. And a lot of them, once again, like I said, are responsibilities that are not just your day-to-day operations, but are associated with the safety of our public during, and post-disaster. So with that, I know that we've had a request from Mayor June Blas to please be able to speak first, and so I'm going to accommodate that. Mayor Blas, would you please proceed?
Thank you, Honorable Senator. Good morning, Honorable Senators. Buenas and half a day. For the record, my name is June Blas, Mayor of the beautiful village of Barrigada. Thank you for the opportunity to present testimony on the proposed FY2026 budget for the Mayor's Council of Guam. On behalf of Barrigada, Vice Mayor Jesse Bautista and I fully support the budget appropriation, which seeks your approval of $20,956,877. The approval of this proposed budget assures that our village are fully equipped to lend the myriads of public services dependent upon our village and island residents. Our public services extended and unfunded by the mayoral budgets. As village mayors and vice mayors, We serve as frontline leaders serving Guam residents in all facets of public service. There are countless instances where public services charged to other line agencies and departments are effectively provided by our mayoral staff and manpower teams. In such instances, these support services are carried out outside the perimeters of our existing village budgets and resources. Nonetheless, as services are warranted by our community, so too do our staff teams recognize their importance and lend assistance whenever needed. And some examples that include, but not limited to, that we as mayors continue to do our jobs and assist other departments. The Department of Education, we assist on events and services, grass cutting, and other, event preparation. Of course, Department of Public Works, routed roads, grass cutting, trash collection along major highways, and other things. Department of Agriculture, pick up disposal of animal carcasses along major highways, and distribute of food assistance services, distribution of subsidized food commodities to our most vulnerable residents, just to name a few. I can go on what other things that our community does with our maintenance, so we continue to do our work. But we lack the resources and funding. The new roadways with unfunded maintenance services needs. In Barrigada, there have been countless new roadways installed which lack associated maintenance funding and resources. As you may know, such services are normally addressed through the DPW road database, last updated in February 2009. Because of the Guam road database that has not been updated, we continue to face unfunded needs in maintaining our village secondary and tertiary roads. The new personnel hires associated with the new gyms and sports facilities, included in our Mayor's Council budget requests. It is the need for additional personnel hires associated with these new public gyms and other sports facilities. As you may know, Barrigada recently opened a new gym facility in January 2005. In order that we can sustain quality community services in all these facilities, new facilities, it will be imperative that this body favorably approve our detailed new personnel hire request. In closing, we sincerely appreciate your attention and your utmost approval of our proposed FY2026 budget request is greatly appreciated. Respectfully, si Jesus Maasi.
Thank you, Mayor June Blas. So at this time, Joy Jean, how you want to handle it?
Mayor Wing, can you go ahead?
Hafaday Chairman Christopher Dueñas and Honorable Senators of the 38th Guam Legislature. My name is Wayne S. Santos, and I am the Mayor of the District of Pago-Ordot. I'm writing to ask your full support for the Mayor's Council of Guam 2026 fiscal budget, which outlines a thoughtful and much-needed investment in the maintenance, services, and overall well-being of our community. This budget reflects a comprehensive vision that addresses both the visible and invisible needs of our village. With a growing demand for reliable services and inclusive programs, it is imperative that we approve a financial plan that prioritizes the health, dignity, and future of all residents, especially our youth, elderly, individuals with disabilities, and those most at risk. By allocating funds for our youth engagement initiatives, senior services, and accessibility programs, this budget reinforces our shared values of equity, opportunity, and care for every generation. These investments are essential to ensuring that no resident is left behind. Additionally, the proposed efforts to address village beautification, including the removal of abandoned vehicles and the elimination of illegal dumping sites, are timely and necessary. These issues not only impact the appearance of our neighborhoods, but also affect public safety, property values, and the overall pride we feel in our community. The mayor's budget recognizes that maintenance and beautification are not cosmetic. They are foundational to fostering a vibrant, safe, and welcoming village environment. This is a direct investment in our collective quality of life. For all these reasons, I strongly urge the members of the 38th Guam Legislature to pass the proposed budget in its entirety. It is a forward-looking plan that supports our residents and restores our environment and revitalizes our community. Sizus Maasi.
Mayor TC.
Good morning, Chairman Dueñas and the committee members of this august body. Good morning. Before I begin, I'd like to, first of all, thank each and every one of you here. You've labeled us, recognized us in some way, shape, or form as being frontliners and emergency responders. So for that, thank you, because I believe that the mayors and all our staff, whether inside the council or our guys in the field, we definitely appreciate that level of recognition, Sizus Masi. And we are rightfully so frontliners and first responders. I'll give you some examples. In COVID-19, we were out there helping out with traffic control and ensuring that everyone in the island was coming out for their vaccinations. In Inalahan, we opened our office and we allowed for vaccinations to continue, not just for the people of Inalahan, but all the neighboring villages. Interestingly enough, we got some folks from Yigo, Dededo, all around the island, and we were happy to serve them. We also became a distribution point for hard copy homeworks that were given out by DOE, handed off to our school, and we became that point of distribution. We also did grab and go for DOE. We allowed for the meals to continue to go to these kids that were out of school and displaced because of COVID-19. We also did food commodities. We would pick up the food and bring it within our villages and have a distribution for all the people that live within our respective villages. Senior center operations was shut down. We, the mayors, went out there and retrofitted, cleaned, did whatever we needed to do in the event that COVID-19 was cleared, that we were given the opportunity, the seniors were given the opportunity to come back in a free environment. Also, the adult daycare. Typhoon Mawar, something that we can all reflect on that just happened recently. We assisted with SBA, FEMA, and Red Cross. We went out, took them around and did the assessments within our village. In Inalahan, we opened up our office space and we allowed for those processing of applicants to come and participate, or at least relieve them of the services they needed by providing a close proximity, pretty much a convenience for everybody. Again, a situation where not just Inalahan, Talafofo, neighboring villages showed up, but everybody from around the island. We also gave out hot lunches and hot dinner distributions for 800 of them, and they came from all different villages, but we used Inalahan as a point of distribution, and a lot of mayors around the villages, around the island did the same thing. After Mawar, we opened up also the Inalahan Senior Center to be used for food stamp processing. If you recall, going around the mall and GPO, people were lined up outside. In Inalahan, we set up canopies, tables, chairs. We offered water, food, and drinks to the people that were there. Everybody had a seat. No one stood up. Again, these are the kind of things that we as mayors collectively always want to do, is give that ultimate best. We took the oath that we're here to serve and not to be served. Likewise with you, and I thank you as well for what you do. When we talk about what's important in today's world, whether it be health, safety, and education, as far as safety in terms of fire, I mean, Mayor Hoffman is going through a family that he has to help, that they're displaced because of a big fire that occurred there. We also always get call-outs for whether it be grass fire, house fire, whatever the case may be. We're very quick to respond and we're always willing to help. Like I said, in Mayor Hoffman's case, he's trying to assist a very displaced family because of that. When we talk about the police, aside from funeral escorts, we are the first responders to any traffic accident that occurs within our respective villages. We're out there doing traffic control, ensuring that there's continuity in the flow of traffic because our people are out there before the police get there. Again, even to include domestic fights, we get called out because some family is going through a domestic issue. We become the first responders trying to situate the problem, and we're putting ourselves at harm's way before the police show up. As far as the police is concerned, you are very aware of the recent shooting situation that happened over at Windward Hills, Talafofo. The Inalahan Mayor's Office, we responded and we provided canopy, tables, chairs, water, cooler, and ice for what is deemed their command post. Again, we do a lot of things that a lot of people don't know, and we're not doing it for the credit, but we know it's right and it's going to serve the greater community. As far as education, last week Monday, Mayor Franklin of Malesso and myself, we went out and we caught the entire Inalahan Middle School. This past Monday, 2 days ago, the entire Southern Village mayors showed up at Southern High and assisted with all their ground maintenance to include Malesso, Talafofo, Magaʹhågan, Santa Rita, Zonia, and Inalahan. We went out there in a force. Again, where did all the materials and supplies come from? It basically came from our office budget. The bottom line message I'm trying to say here is we want to do more, but we need more. We're still fighting with issues like white goods, abandoned vehicles, electronics, green waste, the roadside trash pickup that we literally do each and every time. I know one of the mayors talked about us doing the roadside grass cutting, ground maintenance. We do that very often, and I'm sure you've been to Inalahan, you've seen that a lot. We've taken over painting of the guardrails, stop signs installation. We are even in a position where we're lacking bus stops. We want to build bus stops, but where do we get the money? Again, we want to do more, but we need more, and we're really struggling at this point. We as mayors also do some work for GPA in terms of going around the island going around our respective villages like 1 in the morning, assessing all the street lights. Street lights provide for a safe community. If we don't have those street lights functioning, then guess what? Now it becomes a very scary village or dangerous village because all the unlighted areas. We become those people that are reporting street lights that are not working. Again, we want to do so much more, but we need more. We have adopted parks simply because Parks and Rec is struggling. So in Inalahan's case, we adopted, taking over the Inalahan swimming pool and surf site. Humatec as well took over their park, likewise of Hogan, and I'm sure a lot of other mayors are in position to take over simply because we understand that Parks and Recs may be underfunded. But what's more important is as stewards of our own community, we want to take full responsibility for whatever is in it. I mean, it's like running your own home. You don't want to only take care of the living room, you want to take care of every part of that room. So in this case, we're taking full ownership and taking over and being great stewards of our community. Again, we want to do more, but we need more. We want to expand our cultural programs. In Inalahan, we have a place called Gef Pago. I don't have any kind of funds to reactivate and regenerate so that we can allow for that to thrive once again. And it's very important. We, being locals here, being Old Chamorros, we definitely want to see a thriving cultural program, but we don't have the means, the funding to get it going. We talk about health. All the village mayors want to start executing a sports program, whether it be basketball, volleyball, whatever. But if we only had more funding, we would be able to help ensure that our young kids growing up are going to be participating in a healthy sports program. But again, we want to do more, but we need more. I know you heard one of the other mayors talk about the stray dogs. That has become a perennial problem, yet it's become our daily problem. And not so much that they're an eyesore, more so because they've become a danger to the community. I know Mayor Dale Alvarez from Santa Rita has mentioned that there are some vicious dogs that are out there. Nobody wants to claim it, but when it bites somebody, all of a sudden it becomes our problem because it's been out there the whole time. Yet there are people out there that are feeding these dogs, and they are, even though they don't live in the area, they become rightful owners simply because they feed it. Again, We want to build traps. We don't have the money to do it. We want to do more. We don't have enough. We talk about the Pharaoh swine. We've partnered up with USDA and we're trying everything we possibly could to keep these Pharaoh swine out of people's property. I have an uncle, his name is Uncle Benny Chargaloff, down in Inalahan, who went to his farm. He got stabbed with the tusk of a wild pig into his ribs. That's an adult. We don't want to know about that when it's a child that's walking out in a public area getting attacked by a pig. I mean, in Inalahan, we just built a new playground. We're putting fencing up, not so much to keep the kids out. It's to keep any stray dog or any Pharaoh swine out of, and keeping the kids out of harm's way. Again, I wish I could make that playground or that footprint of that park bigger, but I don't have enough money. We want to do more, but we need more. There are 6 new mayors and I believe 3 new vice mayors. These guys, I'm sure, went out with a campaign platform and wanted to execute what they said in their platform. However, coming into the office, they're all blown away, and they now realize that everything they wanted to do, they couldn't possibly do because we don't have enough funds. They want to do more, but we need more. Homelessness. Almost all the mayors, if not, I'm sure all the mayors, go around and look at all our homeless people. We go and try to give them aid. We try to give them to the right people to give them that assistance. But in the meantime, while all that's going on, we are literally becoming like their kitchen, the soup kitchen for the homeless people. We're feeding these people. Again, I want to do more. We can build like small shelters within our community, but we don't have the funds. We want to do more, but we need more. Drug use, a perennial problem all throughout the island. Some of these folks, all they need is to be transported up to wherever they're doing Narcotics Anonymous for drugs. But again, in some instances, we're making hard choices because I need to save my fuel in order to get me to the next month. But some of these folks, all they need to do is get transported up to mental health. Again, we want to do more, but we need more. Senators, we are even doing war memorials. And you know what? This thing is very sensitive and sentimental, especially because a lot of our elders are no longer going to be here soon. I mean, we're looking at 81 years of this event, yet we're using money, and many of this is coming out of pocket to recognize and honor and pay tribute to our manumcos. Again, I want to do more, but I need more. We all need more. The irony and the sad part about this, if you notice, a lot of the mayors have opted to having festivals. Inalahan never had a festival. We had to do a festival like Guåhan Festival to help generate and augment our shortage in funds. Hagat Festival is such a success. But all these festivals, I know Mayor Dale was talking about doing a festival. Mayor BJ Talai is planning to do a festival. And it's not just to showcase their village, but it's to augment the shortage that they're going through right now because they realize that what we have right now is just not going to work. And so here's some of the things I want to bring to the light here is that I know for the last couple of years, we've been saved by ARPA funds. We've been saved by grants that we've received. We've been saved by the monies that have come from the governor in terms of like $100,000. The Northern Marianas even came out and literally gave every district $1,000 each. A small community, I mean, basically an island that's doing not as good as we are, yet they have the willingness to help because they understand our challenges. So let me just share some fun facts with you to kind of, especially to the new senators. The University of Guam gets right around $40 million, and they serve 3,000 students. Guam Community College gets roughly about $24 million, and they only serve 2,000 students. Department of Education received $250 million, and they only serve 23,000 students. The Mayor's Council of Guam collectively, after a supplemental request, Because we initially started at 12.3, a supplemental budget of 4.5 brought us at 16.8. We, the Mayor's Council of Guam, services 170,000 people. In other words, the entire population of Guam, and we're getting only 16.8. I mean, I don't think it takes anybody to figure that out. We are struggling. So let me just give you even a better perspective. Of that 16.8, Inalahan receives $49,000 for its operational costs, excluding utilities and excluding personnel. We get $49,000. Out of the $49,000, $30,000 of that is literally earmarked and obligated for fuel costs alone, leaving me with $19,000. What does anybody expect? It takes more than $19,000 to even operate our own home annually. So where do you think $19,000 is? So again, we want to do more, but we need more. Senators, you've heard the words from my colleagues here about please support, I urge you, I recommend you. At this point, I am begging you to please have a kind and compassionate heart and understand that we want to help our people of Guam. We really want them to thrive. It is burdensome for many in terms of the financial impact we want and we wish that we can all understand. And I know that every government entity is going to come in here and ask for more. I know that already. But I'm in a position to ask you this. Hold people accountable. Where is the return of investment? Every year I see other entities go up in terms of dollars, but the return of investment or the productivity is not to be shared. I don't see it. With us, we have done literally everything and anything under the sun. We have become the policeman. When we talk about safety, we have become the policeman and the fireman. When we talk about health, we've supported the adult daycare, public health, and everything else. We want to do healthy programs for the kids, but we don't have that money. When we talk about education, I just told you we've demonstrated that over and over and over again. Last year, when all the schools had to go to massive inspections, we went out and we helped literally every school that we could possibly help. I even Inalahan went as far as GW to help out. But we removed all their meadow debris, all their wood, their vegetation, and whatever. We helped paint, water blast. We did whatever we could. And we want to do more, but we need more. So please understand that today has been a day I wanted to meet with all of you. And when I meet each and every one of you out there in the streets, at events, I've kindly asked you to please consider and support the mayors. Because every problem, every constituent coming before you out in the street is probably bringing an issue to you that we as the mayors are failing to do simply because we don't have enough. But imagine if we're able to manage and mitigate all the expectation of our island people, then guess what? You're not going to be having to worry about that. So I'm asking you, help us, help the people, help Guam. Thank you. Sidus Masik.
Mayor Chargalab.
We'll go ahead and have Vice Mayor Ms. Ann speak.
Hafaday and good morning, Chairman Dueñas, Senator Matanani, Senator Gumatautau, and Senator Talahi, and esteemed members of the Guam Legislature. My name is Ann S. San Agustin Leon Guerrero. I am honored to serve as the newly elected Vice Mayor of Dededo, the most populated village in Guam, with a wide range of multicultural and diverse community. I am here today at the request of our village mayor, the Honorable Peter John Beneventi, who is currently off island and unable to attend this budget oversight hearing. I am here before you to advocate for the budget request of the Mayor's Council of Guam, while emphasizing the unique needs of our village. The need for increasing funding. Dededo is currently facing significant challenges that necessitates an increase in our budget allocation. The ongoing buildup of the military base at Camp Blas estimates a population around 5,000. In addition to Anderson Air Force Base in Yigo, population of 8,000, with both military personnel have ventured out to reside off base, has resulted in a surge of traffic and greater demand of infrastructure and maintenance within our village. This influx of vehicles not only affects our roads, but also places additional strain on our public services. It is projected that the island military population, Naval Base Guam, Camp Blas, and Anderson Air Force Base would increase within 10 to 15 years between 35 to 45,000. The main road surrounding Dededo is maintained by DPW. Dededo has the largest number of secondary roads on the island, and majority of these secondary roads have never been resurfaced since it was first paved. In addition, a large number of secondary roads that have never been paved. Dededo Mayor's Office consists of 6 ground maintenance staff, which also maintains a secondary road with bush cutting along the eastman, in addition to patching up the various potholes, working with DPW Coral Pit to resurface the area that has not been paved by patching up the holes with corals to minimize the bumpy road, not only for the residents, but for emergency vehicles such as ambulance, fire trucks to assist them in their destination. Dededo has a large area that the roads that have not been paved, that it is at an incline that each time Dededo patches the roads with coral, the rain will wash it off and makes it difficult to avoid deep holes for the residents to pass through and from home. In addition, the fire truck and ambulance has a difficult time to get residents in a timely manner due to the road conditions that are especially not paved and driving slowly and carefully after they have picked up the patient on their way to the hospital. Moreover, we are grappling with growing number of abandoned vehicles and illegal dumping of trash and white goods. Recent reports indicate that there are approximately 2,000 plus abandoned vehicles on this island, with a significant number located in Dededo. This issue has been exacerbated by limitation of current budget, which caps funding for abandoned vehicle disposal at $50,000 per village per fiscal year. Given our village size and population, this cap is insufficient to address the growing problem effectively. In reference to environmental and community impact, the rise in illegal dumping is a direct consequence of increased waste disposal costs. In addition to the closure of the Dededo transfer station for the northern area of Guam in 2015, Guam Solid Waste Authority is considering raising the residential trash pickup from $30 to $35 per month, which could lead to more illegal dumping in our community. Many residents already face financial challenges that already prevents them from applying for the residential trash pickup at the present cost of $30 per month, which has resulted in illegal dumping of household trash and other items that the residential trash pickup handles. Now, with a proposal of a higher cost, may discourage proper waste disposal, further burdening our village with consistent increase of illegal dumping, resulting in unsightly trash. Illegal dumping of abandoned vehicles can leak harmful fluids such as oil, gasoline, battery fluids into the soil, leading into our northern water aquifer. With the increase in burned abandoned vehicles in Dededo, it not only releases toxic fumes in the air, but also possesses a threat to residents living nearby, businesses, schools, and community as a whole, especially when the fire spreads out to the surrounding areas. When a fire breaks out in Dededo, the fire department's job to stop the fire is hindered by abandoned vehicles blocking the entrance to where the fire is located. Dededo Mayor's Office is called in to assist with a backhoe equipment to push aside the abandoned vehicle. Due to lack of funds to repair an old backhoe or purchase a new one, Dededo staff will try to move the vehicle aside if it's only one. But when you have numerous abandoned vehicles blocking the pathway, Dededo Mayor's Office would reach out to DPW for assistance and other government agencies that has a backhoe in their Dededo location to assist the fire department so that the fire truck can move ahead to the fire location. This situation has occurred numerous times with the abandoned vehicle obstructing the pathway in addition to causing the fire also. White goods such as refrigerators, freezers, and washing machines also releases harmful chemicals into our soil and water contamination. Stove is also known as a breeding ground for pests, mostly rats, which is a public health concern when it enters into a resident or business establishment such as restaurant or a retail store, and it contaminate the area such as food and living condition. It would be great if we could have businesses that market and sell vehicles and white goods also be accountable for providing the means for assisting the consumer in disposing the items that they sell to the community. In addition, what is more alarming is the possibility of FEMA being abolished and other federal grants being cut, which would be more challenging for the villages, most especially for Dededo, the highest populated village in Guam. Additionally, many of our parks are in dire need of maintenance, and the rising costs associated with inflation makes it increasingly challenging to keep their spaces clean and safe for our residents. The lack of adequate funding hampers our ability to provide essential services and retain the quality of life that our residents deserve. Sustainability initiative. In light of these challenges, I propose that we consider transitioning to suitable energy solutions, such as replacing outdated streetlights with solar power options. This initiative will not only enhance the safety and the aesthetics of our community, but also reduce long-term operational costs. Equitable distribution of resources. While I fully support the equitable distribution of resources among the villages, it is critical to recognize that Dededo population and unique challenges require a tailored approach. Our village size and growth necessitates a larger share of the budget to effectively service our constituents. I urge the legislature to consider these factors when deliberating on the budget allocations. In conclusion, I respectfully request that you consider the specific needs of Dededo as you have reviewed the budget request from the Mayor's Council of Guam. By investing in our village, we can ensure that we continue to provide a safe, clean, and vibrant community to all the residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Tidus Masi, Vice Mayor Leon Guerrero.
Thank you. Mayor Arroyo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Senator Talahi, Senator Gumatauto, and Senator Mentanani. Well, I don't know where to start. All I can say is that before I open up, sorry, my name is Richard Arroyo. I'm the mayor of Magaña Heights. Our panel up here and everyone surrounding us is the narrative is the same. We're all on the same page here. And although each village has a unique issue in their village because the population and how their landscape is, but we didn't come together before we got here and said, hey, this is what we're going to say. I'm just listening to everybody, and it's the same issues that have been happening for years. So thank you for the opportunity to be here as one of your new mayors. I'm here with my fellow members of the Mayor's Council to ask the support of this body for a fair budget that will allow us to continue functioning as the frontline service providers for the people of our respective villages. I know we are all public servants here. We all do our best with the limited funds we all share. As mayors, together with our staff, we serve the community 24 hours, 7 days a week if necessary, everything from public nuisance to public safety concerns, and to everything you can imagine in between. Our staff are not getting younger. In a few short years, these individuals are going to retire, take with them the skills and institutional knowledge. But as Mayor Hoffman was saying, I really echo what he says, that if we make this more attractive and how we could tear the part with the graduate from the 2000 and how we could get them to come also in the budget, we can hire more of these individuals, the younger generation. Because honestly, Senator and the senators, there's no line outside the mayor's office to come and bush cut. It's really hard to get staff to go, but the staff that are there, and I can speak for all the staff in the island, but it's most especially at Magaña Heights. They work hard. These guys have been in the village for ages, and they tell me the stories, And I also want to thank Mayor McDonald for setting the foundation before I became the new mayor, because coming in, it's true, I finally see, and what Mayor Tony said, it's true. We came in, we did a pledge to what we wanted to do, but to find out this is what we have to play with, and play with as in what we need to do to keep the village running. So I just want to, bring little things like, for example, as Judy's saying, we are advocates for GPD. We understand the shortage of officers, so we play a role in the village for safety, for anything that comes our way that needs attention for GPD. They do respond right away, and they're very active. Our neighborhood watch in Again Heights and Senatorial, because we like to share, it's so active, like someone can cough in the other village and they're going to call the cops already. I mean, that's how active it is. So it's incredible, and everyone's doing their part. And we want to just let you guys know that we're trying to be creative. We're trying to be creative too. When I took office as well, DISID has this program called the Adult Day Center. And now Again Heights is the first village to have this Adult Day Center. And they're from the 18-year-old to the 59-year-old age group that have challenges. And these are the individuals, that gray area where they don't have an area to go after they graduate from high school. And they are in our center now with people who have applied, and now they're certified. So then it gets our staff also to make sure that place is set all the time, because it's a pilot program, and they're basically using our center to run this program. It's a really great program, and if you folks ever want to stop by and see what goes on there, it just touches my heart. And I just wanted to let you guys know that. And also, Mayor Hoffman, Mayor Tony and the staff was mentioning about USDA. I want to thank USDA. When I first got into office, my pledge to the village was about feral pigs. A gentleman, Mr. Joe Reborn from USDA, reached out to me. Guess what? Within 2 months, we caught over 400 pigs. Now we have about maybe one pig in the Again Heights running around. So I just want you guys to know that. Also, Senator Duenas, you mentioned about the Tier 2 gymnasiums possibly for shelter. Well, Again Heights was picked as one of the Tier 2 shelters for any emergency, and let's say, something's going to come up. We're going to house. They're going to redo the gym, and we're going to be taking care of Mongmong, Senahanya, Chanampago. I believe it might be for the villages, but they're going to be in that gymnasium in Again Heights, which is the epicenter for sports. Which I want to go to how our softball field there is used. 24/7. We have every single person probably around the island using the field, and I'm so happy that they're there. But when they leave, they have trash. We have guys. Our staff has to go there afterwards, clean it up, and But that's what we do. It's a welcoming village. It's what we want. It's what we love to do. So I use my own personal vehicle, senators. It's an electric vehicle. I use it because I want to save the gas for the staff that they have to use for their cars and when they have to do the bush cutting. So please, senators, Mr. Chair, please, we ask you to please help us with this budget and pass this budget with us. God bless you. Thank you so much.
We're going to need God to bless us. Since Mayor.
We'll go ahead and have Mayor Lazama. Thank you, Mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Duenas, Senator Gumatautan, Senator Teresa Lahi. I'm here, and my concerns basically emulate everybody else's concern around the island with the mayors and vice mayors. We are basically, again, like Mayor Chargaloff said, we are the frontliners, the first responders. We do anything and everything under the sun and under the moon, no matter what time it is, 24/7. We get calls middle of the night, early in the morning. We do what we can, but yet we only have so much to do
Mayor,
with-
I apologize to have
I'm
to
sorry.
do this.
My
No,
name is Francis Lizama, Mayor of Yigo.
Yes.
My apologies.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're swearing in the panel, and you weren't here earlier when we asked you to testify, 'cause so if the vice is going to testify as well, can we just do that real quick?
Okay.
And any other mayor, vice mayor who showed up that before we started the hearing, please rise at this time and we'll swear you in. Yeah.
Under penalty of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And once again, this is our protocol, the legislature, whenever we're dealing with financial matters. You're probably going to talk about village issues, which is completely accurate, but it pertains to the budget, and so that's our protocol. Please, thank you for your understanding.
Yes, my apologies.
Please continue. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyways, we do anything and everything under the sun and the moon, because whatever situation that is out there, we try to do our best, but yet we're very limited. We have to be frugal. Right now, our gym is being looked at as being a tier 3. Currently, we have issues with the gym. We need to do repairs, but we don't have the funding. Whatever it's going to cost, it's way out of our budget. So we have to do creative management with our funds. And again, we can only do so much, but yet we have to service the people no matter what. We have to do jobs like for DOE. Just Monday, we assisted UP Elementary with their cleaning in preparation for their inspection tomorrow. So of course, assisting DOE, that cuts into our budget. And so with that again sets us back on what we can do. Although a lot of things is out of pocket for us, more so with fuel. We try to do what we can with what we have, but again, we are very limited. I'd like to also talk with my colleague from Dededo, Vice Mayor Ann. We are the second largest, but the first largest in land mass. Grass cutting, can you imagine how much money we get for grass cutting? With the amount of land mass that we have to cut. By the time we get halfway, we have to go back to where we originated from, because the number of employees that we have that does maintenance doesn't cut it. 7 maintenance for a village as large as ours. We are requesting if you can please give us additional maintenance. 7 bodies is not cutting it for Yigo. We also do everything and anything, DPW's work, cutting of the grass along the routed roads. I mean, it's their responsibility, but we have to look at it as it's in our village. We have to maintain the streets. We want to build that pride. We want to bring back that pride to our village, but it doesn't help when we have these agencies whose responsibilities we're taking on, and that cuts into our budget. If that's the case, then give us the money. Give us what is given to you, and we are doing your job. I give every respect to all the agencies, but we also need the money. We are very limited with what we have. We can only do so much, but again, being creative, it cuts into our pockets. Not that we don't want it to come out of our pockets, but we try to do what we can. There's just so much, the list goes on and on. It's endless, but we can only do so much. As far as heavy equipment, just to rent heavy equipment is costly. We can't afford to rent equipment all the time. Maybe owning the equipment, even to purchase the equipment, that in itself is going to take a whole lot of out of our budget. So, you know, the funding that we're asking for, and I like Mayor Chargalov's analysis, UOG and GCC. The amount of people they serve. again, like he said, we serve the entire island. And yet, we only get a smaller amount. I'm hoping that you find it in your heart to give us what we are asking and maybe a little more. We have employees who are out there day and night working because of whatever situation comes up. I give a round of applause to those employees, to all the employees of the mayor's offices. They are the backbone of these offices, of our office. They're the ones who are out there doing the hard work. And it's a thankless job. It's a thankless job, but we're out there doing our best, most especially the staff. You know, nobody ever recognizes them. Nobody ever thanks them for their hard work. It's a thankless job, like I said. But we know that they do their best, and they're out there doing what they can. And we are out there doing what we can to serve our people. So I'm in support of this bill, and I'm hoping that you as well can give us what we ask for. Thank you.
Sidus Masi, Mayor Lezama.
Buenas Tanafade, Senator Talahi, Senator Dueñas, Senator Gumatautau, and Senator Matanani. I'm going to try to make this as short as I possibly can in consideration for the work that we still have to do once we leave this legislative hall this morning.
Please identify yourself, Vice.
Again, I'm Pedro Blas, the Vice Mayor of Yigo,
Masi.
and I'm here to provide testimony in full support of our proposed budget increase for the Mayor's Council of Guam. As we all know, our village mayor's offices serve as the front line of government service, directly engaging with our residents on a daily basis. As iterated earlier, some days we're firefighters, some days we're police officers, some days we're Mr. Rubbish Man, some days we're animal control, some days we're land management, the middlemen for connecting our communities to government information and resources, and all the while still expected to cut the grass and pick up the roadkill on the roads, whether they're secondary or routed. We work beyond 9 to 5 and squeeze in time on the weekends away from our families to ensure that our villages thrive the way that we each feel our people deserve. And based on the testimonies already provided, I'm sure that we can understand that the responsibilities placed upon us are vast and vital. Over the past few years, we've seen that these duties have only expanded, often without corresponding increases in our resources. And myself and Mayor Lezama, after only being in office for 6 months, see how much work needs to be done and how costly it is to do it. Many of us are operating with limited staff, outdated equipment, and insufficient funding to fully meet the needs of our communities, and making up for it out of our own pockets to ensure the prosperity of our villages, from purchasing gas for our vehicles and equipment to buying water and ice every day for the boys to make sure that, you know, they're out there hydrated while getting the job done, day in and day out, rain or shine. We work together and share what we have with each other from village to village to allow each of our offices to succeed in providing for our people. Mayor Chargaloff said it himself in one of our Mayor's Council meetings that we sell ourselves short with how much we request versus how much we actually go out there and do, right? So this modest budget increase would significantly enhance our ability to deliver our services more effectively within our communities. And before I end, you know, I do want to acknowledge that I know that I am just a young man and just the vice mayor of the village with the largest landmass, right? But I believe what I was told when I decided to run for office is the same thing that all of you up there and all of us down here were told when we decided to take that step, right? And that was that we can't please everybody. But I always wanted to believe that how can we expect our villages, our community, our island to prosper if we don't try everything that we can to the best of our abilities to do just that? Go out and try to help the people as much as we can, whether they're pleased or not. So with that being said, please consider this. Investing in the Mayor's Council is an investment in our people, and I urge this legislation to prioritize this request in recognition of the critical role our mayor's offices play in strengthening our island. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak, and for your commitment to serving the people of Guam. Sidus Masi.
Sidus Masi, Vice Mayor Blas. So as we go to questions for the panel, I once again, I have to ask this to the acting president as well as the executive director. And the reason why I say this is because the governor obviously submitted a ceiling in terms of the executive request. And so when we look at this, variance of 11,332,768, it looks like, and in our footnotes here, it looks like it doesn't even take into consideration the supplemental budget that you received and you're currently operating on. So that's why your variance essentially is, slightly over 3 million, but the overall variance is 11 million. Were there discussions with the governor's office in terms of their consideration for the mayor's council budget?
No, sir, they never ask us.
Okay. So, Vice Mayor Blas, I appreciate all of the presentation, but I also appreciate your discussion about your entrance into the foray of public service. While I have a lot of years, the one thing that is always the toughest thing when we try to, I won't even say please, when we try to accommodate you for the service that you provide, right? The bottom line is where the real tug of war happens is when we're appropriating, and then we got to get a budget passed, right? And we're given a ceiling to work with, and then we work within that ceiling and do what we can in terms of the distribution and how we're able to get there. So I just want to use that as a benchmark for our efforts going forward. It's not lost on me in terms of the work you do. It really isn't. I know. I've met with you, many of you, so many different times in terms of discussing what you do in the village, and we can see it. The one thing I'll be talking to the committee with, and maybe the other senators have these thoughts as well, and I've said this for many years, I think the real disparate situation when we look, because look, we don't even have to look as far back as 2024. You're operating with $9 million. This is over 100% increase, and I'm not saying it wasn't justified in terms of where we are in 2025. But what I'm saying is that it has to be reflective of what you continue to say. And as you said, Mayor Hoffman, as well as the other mayors here, Mayor Arroyo, the theme here is that you've accumulated a lot of additional duties and responsibilities where others have fell off. And I think that's really going to be how we got to manage this in terms of discussion internally. I know when I met with you on the pre-budget meeting and when I met with you on how to manage some CapEx coming up and how we get creative with the Mayor's Council, it's clear most mayors, and Inalahan I think has just been doing it forever, because you can't go to Inalahan without it looking like a golf course on the roadsides. But the fact is everywhere, many other jurisdictions, because of the duties and responsibilities of highways and public works on the routed roads, it's 6 feet tall sometimes before it gets jumped onto, and most of you guys are the ones jumping out there doing that because you just can't take the pressure from the community telling you enough is enough. You need to get out there and do it because those are the roadways that they're traversing as well. So that's where some of the conversations will start, as well as with parks. And so we'll continue to probably bring everybody together for another meeting, at least at the executive level, to see where these mandates are and the mandates that you've accumulated, in terms of how do we make some adjustments. So I just want to be straight with you in terms of what it's going to take to make the accommodations. Promising is a bad idea in this in this arena, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to tell you is I'm going to work my butt off to get to where you need to be, and that's going to include very frank discussions, with it, because our community says the same thing a lot of times. They know, because a lot of people, the first question whenever there's a problem or an issue in the village is, go to the mayor. Go to the mayor, right? The mayor's the one stop. And so that's really what it comes down to. It's go to the mayor, and then the mayor's like, yeah, thanks for coming here, but guess what, years and years ago, that was done by so-and-so. Years and years ago, we were just responsible for first line and first responder within the village. But now we're a mini public works, as the vice said, in terms of the different mandates of the government. So that will be the frank discussion that I'll be having. Mayor Chagalov, and then I'll go to the other senators.
Yeah, Senator, thank you for those comments. And I want to say this, that rather than even considering lowering our budget even by $1, I'm asking that we take a look at, for example, DPW. So if DPW's budget is allotted $19 million to take care of roadside cutting around the island, then take that $19 million and give it to us so that we can divvy that up, $1 million to each mayor, so we can take care of our highways, secondary and tertiary roads as well. So please, and I'm kind of hearing you, and it doesn't sound optimistic when you're referencing the governor's allotment or ceiling for us. But I'm asking you, in consideration of that, knowing that already, I'm asking to please consider looking at DPW's budget and every other budget out there that we have literally undertaken as mayors, so that we can fulfill what we need, what we are asking for. And again, before you even remove even $1 of that, please take into consideration other departments that, like all the mayors have alluded to, is that we've taken more than our responsibility, and we are gladly doing it. And again, like I said, we want to do more, but we need more. And in this case, look at other entities, even like DOE, we've done a lot of cutting out there, and we have gotten no dollar at all. All the mayors around the island, to include our staff, the mayor's council, and everybody else, we're about solutions, not excuses, results, not reasons. And we want to be able to ensure that we do have the solutions and we do have the results. Thank you.
Sisus masi da masaya finu tomorrow pat finu English edjula lekonai. Ahi tiu hasu afa putsogi sa Yigo betno estia I salapi ponayao ahi titagenao. Ufaisa namzo na Pago na para beu check hafa sinya mon hafa no I otru na agency hafa bidadanya Pago na timatsotsu titsonia Magaʹhågan Julia ambi isa la penya tati donai meo sa guiza matsogi tetso pues no agradeci para algo da man pereu ni zomo request edzo necesita para accomplish esta tisinia como I ceiling za overscoba za hafa potsogi governo po vito budget ekwa lo eno le lekonai para beo togi. And I'm trying to make the folks understand too that this is what's been happening. It's in the gimilitar like the mission creep, right? It's the Pago mission creep. Gagi mission Pago gimiot. No?
Can I just say one more thing? Quite honestly, if you ask me, we've been long overdue for even a slight increase. Since I've been a mayor in 2021, I've always been an advocate that we're operating very short. So even if we progressively move $1 million each year, we already should be right around $30 million if you ask me. So what we've presented is a very conservative approach. It's very realistic in terms of really just trying to do our due diligence and executing our jobs. So again, the body, thank you all for being here. Thank you for hearing us, because we come to you really at this point, not even urging or asking or requesting. We are literally begging at this point, really with a kind and compassionate heart, to please approve our request. Thank you.
Senator Guåhan, consigi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me just start by thanking publicly my village mayor, Vicente Tarigui, from the village of Talafofo, and to his people for all the work that they do to serve our community in Talafofo. And I'm not going to forget EPAN at this point, so people don't think I'm just thinking of the village proper. I also want to thank every single one of the mayors that are in this room today for your continued service to the people of Guam. And I just want to, one more thing, to those that are watching outside, I had a chance before this hearing started to say hello to all of them or many of them. And I heard in this public hearing room that people don't thank you, but I don't live in your village unless you're from Talafofo. But let me go ahead and say thank you on behalf of, on my behalf, thank you so much for all the work that you do and in serving your residents. And the testimony today, I will say, was very, very compelling. Let me just start with a couple things, Mr. Chair, and Joy, thank you again for your continued service to the people of Guam as well. Let me just start with the benefits side. The Mayor's Council of Guam's budget request for employee benefits decreased from $5,120,995 in FY 2025 down around $82,000 less for FY 2026. While the reduction in employee benefit costs in the new fiscal year is noteworthy, what factors led to this decrease, recognizing that the Mayor's Council of Guam is requesting funding to support 237 positions or 16 more positions in FY26 compared to FY25?
I'm going to go ahead and yield to my accountant with the numbers here.
What is your name first for the record?
My name is Royale Carter. I'm the accountant at Mayor's Council of Guam. Can you just repeat your question one more time?
Sure. While the reduction in employee benefit costs in this new fiscal year is noteworthy, what factors led to this decrease, recognizing that the Mayor's Council of Guam is requesting funding to support 237 positions or 16 more positions in FY26 compared to FY25?
So on FY25 request, we requested a payout for the annual lump sum. This is when the new mayors came in. They had to terminate the employees, and they had to pay out the $320 for annual leave. So with that decrease, that is the difference with our request for this fiscal year, or next fiscal year.
Thank you. Your contracts, Joy, for FY26, they're $119,084 more than the $32,880 authorized budget in FY25, which includes new expenses such as a $20,000 for a copier machine lease and $25,000 for internet service upgrades. For the record, and recognizing that these costs were not part of the Mayor's Council of Guam's FY25 budget, how are these contractual services covered in the current fiscal year? And will these services be available to district offices that are perhaps maybe the closest to your office in the Mayor's Council of Guam, including maybe to my Prumu, the Mayor of Hagåtña, to maybe to Mayor Ritchie in Agana Heights, and perhaps to Mayor Paco in Mongmong Totumaiti?
Sure. So as far as you brought up the internet services and how is that going to service the villages, is that correct, Senator? Am I understanding that correctly?
I'm talking about you have a copier
So it was
contract.
Covered. So as far as the
because I think the internet doesn't extend that far.
Right. So as far as the
copier can.
So as far as the contractual services that we've highlighted and the increase that we're asking for, that's mainly to cover internet services upgrades. We're at 5. I guess 5 speed, we're looking at 25. As far as the copier leases, we're looking at leasing copier machines. Today, the villages own their copier machines, which is very much outdated, and to get its service and maintenance, it's very costly for us at this point.
Yeah, and based on all the experiences, I think in my short time even here, there's got to be a way to pool some of these so it'll help bring some costs down across all of the respective mayor's offices. I think they would have all benefit. I know that you're looking at old machines, but at times by pooling, it might be a good idea.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, the budget also for administration includes $65,000 for district-wide training for employees covering computer safety, forestry, and traffic control. Are government agencies, including OTEC, the Guam Police Department, Department of Agriculture, are they involved in these trainings at all? And what fees, if any, are they charging you for this type of support?
So with the training that we're seeking, we're looking at GCC, and absolutely we do get charged. As far as GPD is concerned, there is no charge, but we're looking at basic office skills. We're looking at procurement. We are looking at ethics charges the council for these trainings that we have to ensure that we uphold the certification. As far as we're looking at even forestry, again, we do get trainings on behalf of the other agencies, but for the most part, they are charging MCOG.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I'm hoping that the other agencies are watching this particular budget hearing, and I'm hoping that at some time, at some point, they could at least provide that service free. Seems to be a kind of a weird way to say it to you all, because it's not free for you. Because as soon as they train you, you guys go back out and you're doing the work that, quite frankly, they're supposed to be doing in our respective villages. Let me move on to equipment. And this is probably going to be a very, I'll just say it so I don't seem so snarky right now, Joy. Your budget for your administration equipment includes $2,000 for an executive chair and credenza. The Mayor's Council's budget authorized $30,000, presumably for similar expenses. For the record, what portion of the $30,000 budget that was used in this current fiscal year to purchase executive desks, chairs, and credenzas are there? But also, are there any other options that are available for the Mayor's Council to secure unused office furniture from other Government of Guam offices?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. So I can tell you from my observation taking the directorship position, we refurbish furnitures even throughout the villages. So everything you see in MCOG today is nothing new. When I took the directorship position, I'm looking at desks for the mayors that have been made. So it's not anything we went out to purchase. These have been made through a contractor. So it is time to bring up it's really for safety for our employees as well. You're looking at desks that are chipped, that are sharped at the edges. So throughout the villages and our MCOG offices, we refurbish furnitures and we share amongst the villages as well.
All right, thank you, Joy. Let's move on to your capital outlay. Your budget for the Mayor's Council of Guam administration, their capital outlay includes $2.8 million for several new items, including $1.2 million for district vehicles, $600,000 for a village data management and Mayor's Council of Guam software, and $300,000 for heavy equipment. Specific to the district vehicles, what portion of this particular expense is intended to cover the acquisition of any used U.S. government vehicles similar to the sedans and the pickup trucks, which were secured by GPD recently for agency operations?
When we have to try to do those, it's through a bidding process, and it requires credit card and a whole bunch of other paperwork that we can't actually do anymore. Okay. So the system has actually changed in terms of trying to get even what's at GSA. We all go down there, we all drool at, wow, $15,000 trucks, that'd be amazing. But they're like, no, you have to bid just like everybody else. You have to have a credit card, you have to pay within 24 hours. So it completely cuts us off.
So that means don't go to the GSA anymore?
Nope, no more.
So I wouldn't either.
Unless we personally pay for it out of some other fund or a grant allows it, there's no way we can get any vehicles down there.
No, and that makes some sense, Mayor. With respect to the procurement of heavy equipment in the new fiscal year, what information is available regarding any consultation that the Mayor's Council of Guam has sought with Public Works in order to have the equipment available to other entities that may also need them, and to hopefully spread costs among those agencies? And I'll say it for the record, I think they should be doing it the other way around, but I figured I'd ask the question.
So I think with the mayors, when they do reach out to the other agencies to avail themselves with heavy equipment, the heavy equipment themselves, it's not available, whether it's down for maintenance. I do know that the agencies out there are actually renting these heavy equipments as well. So we're kind of competing with them when it comes to heavy equipment.
So I guess to answer the question, go ahead, Mayor.
And just to add to that, what normally the normal process is, if the mayor does need it, they put in a request to the director's office. It's scheduled, and it's kind of like when it depends. So right now, the side cutter, they gave us 4 days, I think, each village. They said, we're going to bring the side cutter mower to you for 4 days. Tell us where we'll do it, and then they're off to the next village. So on some instances, it is scheduled, or they tell us, and sometimes we have to ask. And a lot of what I mentioned in my testimony is that we're always in this mode of urgency, because when we ask, it's already those bamboos that are already hitting cars on Route 4 in a spring lane. Like, we kind of need it now, not in a scheduled matter. So it's an issue for us.
All right, thank you, Mayor, for your help on answering that. I only have just a couple more questions, Mr. Chair. And this is regarding the Municipal Planning Council's revolving fund. 5 GCA section 40135, or the creation of the Municipal Planning Council revolving fund, it authorizes our village mayors and the municipal planning councils of each of our respective villages to raise funds through charging commercial enterprises to advertise on the walls of their respective sports facilities, raise funds through fundraising events, to include approving concessionaire activities within each municipality as approved by the municipal planning councils. They can solicit corporate sponsorships and to accept contributions that are solely beneficial to the sports facilities or, in fact, the village as a whole. And then the revenues shall be deposited into the municipal planning council funds for each village and shall be used for the operation and maintenance of these facilities and to fund special projects that are identified by our respective municipal planning councils island-wide. And I kind of heard it a bit from our mayor of Inalahan, but to what extent have our village mayors and their respective planning councils implemented any portion of this law, and how specifically, including the idea of Coach Tony, that revenues that are generated to help augment general fund or special fund resources in FY26?
So for the Municipal Planning Council, for our non-appropriated funds, we do collect donations and accept it for a lot of our programs. But in terms of user fee, it's something that's been up for discussion in our council. And just our last meeting, we did put together a proposed user fee schedule. It's going to have to undergo its hearing. It's something that, again, we have to do now because we need that upkeep and maintenance money. I know nobody likes to tell somebody, I got to charge you for this, for your FNACPO or for your car wash or for your medical this. It's really leaves a bad taste in our mouth. We always say, you already pay taxes, it should be already included, but the reality is we have to have user fees for a lot of our facilities now. So we actually already have that on our agenda. It's something I think will be discussed in July. We'll put our final nail on that in July. We were trying to do it last year, but we said we'll take a break and we'll wait until the new mayors come in because we wanted their input and we're going to give them the respect for the new districts to come in. So I think by July it'll be on our agenda, and then you'll actually have to go through the adjudication process.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And
Senator, if I may add,
sure,
a lot of
please,
their
Joy.
non-appropriated funds, typically because they don't have enough in their appropriation, they would utilize for their fuel, for equipment. And these, again, are just to maintain the village, their day-to-day operation. So like what Mayor TC had mentioned, a lot of these events that they're holding or hosting and that they are able to accumulate funds with, they're using it to run their day-to-day operation. So that's their creative thinking.
And there isn't a line, Senator, of corporate donors who are asking, hey, Mayor, I want to give you money. The fire yesterday, it was really our residents who came together and knocking down the door saying, here's $50, $20, please get his family. So a lot of what we collect, we push out, and a lot of what we also take in are donations in terms of consumables like food, you know, the drinks, the hot dogs, the popcorns, and the cereals. So it's there really is no big mega donor to us to say, hey, you could use this for whatever. So it's been a lifeline for us, that fund. I think if we make it easier for companies to donate where it's something they can claim on their taxes a lot easier, because that's that confusion that they give us. Can I claim this? And I'm like, you should, you're donating to the government, but you know, how do they actually list it out where there's an actual form that they fill out like, hey, I gave the mayor $1,000 from my company and I can claim this on my tax return or my GRTs or whichever else like that, and it shows it. But from what I know, there's no specific mechanism for that.
No, and that's a good kind of way I can wrap up my questions, Mr. Chair. And this is was my offer to Joy earlier and to the Mayor's Council of Guam. And I told this to the committees I have oversight over. A lot of times what we do is not going to be about money, it's going to be about policy. And at some point, I think as we look at the work that you all do, I know there's not enough money to support every operation, but if we have to change the policy, then I think I stand ready to support each and every one of our districts in that. And again, Mr. Chair, thank you for the time, and thank you to everyone for being with us today.
Siduswasi, Senator Gumatauto. Senator Chalahi, you recognize.
Thank you. I thought it was very excellent testimony that was presented today, beginning with the Director, Joy Jean, and the President's testimony, of course, and Vice President, your testimony. If we could get that in writing, that'd be very helpful. I thought it was very good. And each mayor, I think, really did an excellent job of reminding everybody and making sure it's really very well understood. Maybe not even the full extent, but at least, you know, a gist of what you really all are involved in, and I think is very, very, very important. So that's how priorities are set, right? I totally agree with you that we want our villagers to thrive, and if we want them to thrive, the mayors and their offices must thrive. They must have what they need in order to help these the people in their village. And this is, and I agree with you, we have put you on the front lines of almost everything. We continue to do it, and even revenue tax systems, I mean, everything. We want you all, because you have that connection with every person in your village, to facilitate these services to the people. So thank you for all the work that you do for that. And I'm not saying that's right, that we're going to keep putting things on you without supporting it. I completely support this request. I think you've done a very good job of supporting it, of explaining exactly what you need and why you need it. It is kind of drastic looking at the spreadsheet, because the spreadsheet shows that this is that it's $11 million over what was appropriate, or I guess set aside by the governor in this current budget request. It's, but her request, according to this spreadsheet, was $7.6 million less than your current budget. So that's kind of confusing, and I don't want to go backwards. I think I'm very proud that we were able to increase from 24 to 25, from 8.4 to 17 million for the mayors. I think that's necessary. It was very, very clear. It's been clear through COVID. It's been clear before that. It's been clear through Mawar that we are really depending on you. And without you, we are all going to just suffer. Everyone will just be suffering tremendously more. And you know that people are suffering even now, even with everything that we have trying to give. So the increase in personnel, it shows about 16. That's not much when you consider how many villages there are. And it shows, does this fill the vacancies that are listed, or are these current positions?
So we have a total of 9 vacancies, and that's that's community maintenance workers. The mayors are actively recruiting. Again, as they've stressed out, it's very difficult to recruit bush cutters, people that want to go out and do the cleaning. That's the challenge they currently face today. So you'll see a lot of the villages actually hire outside of their village, which is, you have PD hiring from Dededo. It's normally within the village, but that's not the case. So yes, we have roughly 9 vacancies and 1 administrative assistant with the MCOG central office. And so the additional request will go to those villages that have undertaken new gyms. And then we are looking at staffing Dededo up with additional CMWs, again, because of the population they serve.
All right. And what happened to the federal funds or the ARP funds? I'm not familiar with that. There's been some references to it.
I know for a bunch that were on the books, we no longer have access to it. It expired. There was a lot of paperwork issues back and forth and discussion back and forth. Somewhere things happened, and so we did lose that. And on the previous budgets, I'd like to add, Senator, is that what's Mayor Chargloff mentioned is a lot of the grants that we got helped really cover us. And then now those have all dried up. They're not existent anymore. So we kind of need to figure out where else are we going to get it, which is why you see that increase in the budget. A lot of what we do, senators, are not in the law. It's absolutely not. After-school programs, sports, that's not in the law. It doesn't say, Mayor, you shall organize this. It's not. But we do it because that's traditionally our role as community leaders. And so as you attend our memorials and our functions and our fiestas and our festivals, those are not in the law. So I think in preparing any budget, you say, what is the law? Yeah, that's enough for them in the law. But then you realize they do these 70 other things out there, 5Ks and all these other things, you know, working with Sister Squadron, community cleanups. They're like, okay. So if we just turned off everything and said, okay, we'll only do what's in the law, the small amount requested would be enough, but it's never enough for us. And so we always have to be cognizant of, everyone always wonders, wow, it's great, it's a good village, all these things are happening, not realizing it does cost us personnel, money. Like the mayor said, Senatorial's regular budget's $40,000, and I have after-school programs, summer programs, sports programs, Zumba, and that's just in the active part. And so we try to make every dollar work, so it's really difficult. And I'd love to see some of this stuff codified, and sometimes it's not. So there's no real agency we can knock and say, give me your money. Who am I going to knock on the agency and say, give me money for my Zumba program? But it's something we do because we love our community. We want them to be healthy. So it's going to be a difficult task, and I'm not jealous of you on this because you have to make the decision. But as we see other agencies and hear other agencies, and we read the paper in the morning, sometimes we're dumbfounded, like, wow, they have a lot. They're asking us a lot, and we're trying to figure, like, what are they doing? And we're struggling ourselves day to day. So I appreciate your sentiment.
So just Masi, can I just clarify also, so when DPW was here for their budget not too long ago, or maybe a few days ago, they said that they are now taking care of all the moving of vehicles. Is that correct?
The Mayor's Council is still facilitating the abandoned vehicle program that is funded through EPA. I can speak on behalf of that. The current project is under procurement. It is put out for a bid, and we are on phase 2 of that bid, which is, it's been published. We have vendors responding to the bid. With regards to DPW, I believe they're citing a certain section of the law, which would be 3706, right, which allows for them to collect the abandoned vehicles that have been identified on the routed roads. Again, I can't answer for that, Senator, but I can tell you, as it relates to EPA's program that we are funded, the $1.5 million, the Mayor's Council is still facilitating that as we speak.
And you still intend to use that in the fiscal year 26?
That's correct.
Okay, that was not clear on the DPW hearing.
No.
Made it sound like they were doing it all at that point.
The Mayor's Council has it. We have the MOU with EPA.
All right, and that includes white goods in addition to abandoned vehicles, all of it, right?
And it's currently on the website, and it's going through a bid.
Okay. Again, excellent testimony. I appreciate all of you who are doing the work out there every single day, but I also very much appreciate your willing to account for every item here and your increased request. I think that's reasonable. These are big things, actually, to upgrade your software system and procurement systems, training, all of it. It might seem to some like a luxury, but I think it's really going to help in our villages. We have shifted things so dramatically, like we want the villages, like some of the villages are able to do this, to bring the people in, and when we're requiring online services in the government, that they are able to assist those people to get online and do whatever they need to do. That's not always the case because it's not available everywhere, not able to be yet. So I appreciate all you have done to be resourceful, to go way out of the box in figuring out ways to bring these services to the people in your villages. Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. I just want to give really kudos and a lot of thank you to the staff of the Mayor's Council of Guam. Also to, now that we are in a new stage of timesheets and payroll, it's digitalized now. So to see this, we're moving forward, and then to I see where we're going with this, so it's happening, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to recognize that the Mayor of Manila also submitted to us some testimony, and to all of those. Senator
Senator Chalahi. Senator Sabrina Salas Mantanani.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also wanted to say thank you to all our mayors and all the employees, especially the ones that are outside that aren't with us in this room today. I heard a lot about being on the front line, but I truly also believe that you guys are the community anchors in every single village. And to hear, and I'm glad people, and I'm hoping people are watching this because you really get to hear firsthand a lot of the things that our mayors do for our community and their employees, and I'm just truly, truly grateful. But what I am surprised about is when I looked at the spreadsheet for the budget, and I did see the FY2026 governor's request being $9.6 million, and I think it was you, Mayor Hoffman, who said that you guys didn't even get a phone call. But did you guys call the governor or the governor's office when you saw $9.6 million?
That's the first I've heard. So I'm unaware of that, so I can answer to that, Senator.
So you were unaware at all that the governor was put down $9.6 million for the Mayor's Council of Guam? And knowing when there is an emergency, who do we call? Who does Adelup call? You call the mayors. So even if you didn't hear and you're just finding out now, how does that make you feel?
Well, I would have hoped that we could communicate so that we can be responsible and responsive to our needs.
Mayor Hoffman?
I agree. I think they just plug in a number as a placeholder, and I've never known how they do. In my previous 20 years of doing this, I've also never seen where, I know she has a time limit of when they need to submit something, but we don't directly work with BBMR either, not at least on our districts. So that's something done on another level. And every time we have an ask or request, that's kind of where we have that disconnection, which is with the ARPA and all the other things. It was a BBMR involvement. And so we're like, okay, where do we go from here? It's not something we're familiar with. And so I think they just say, here's a number, place hold it, and then go fight for your own and go make your own ask.
$9.6 million, the governor's request. Mayor's Council of Guam requests $20.9 million. No phone call whatsoever, Mayor Arroyo. How does that make you feel?
Disappointed, Senator. This is my first rodeo as a mayor, and I'm taking my lead from the mayor, like for example, Mayor Hoffman, and I'm learning this as today as we go along, and I'm sure after this is done, we're going to discuss it as well.
It's my first rodeo as a senator. Mayor Charkaloff, you've been saying we want to do more, but we need more. $9.6 million request from the front office.
Yeah, obviously it's very disappointing to know that there should have been some kind of level of communication between our council and the governor's office. I personally only finding out right now that there was in fact, or the governor was always in a position to submit a budget, but for some whatever reason there is a big disconnect, a big gap here between the communication channels of the council and the governor's office. It is quite alarming and disturbing for me because if I had known that prior to even coming here, we would have had a little sit down months ago and go over the numbers so that we're able to kind of be in alignment when we came in here. We're all going to be on the same page. So again, understanding what was presented and what we're asking, there's a significant gap. But like I said, I'm not even asking or urging or requesting. I'm literally begging to please have that consideration and fill in the obvious gap that is, I mean, there's going to be fingers to point at people, but at the end of the day, we're here. We're asking that we kind of come to a solution and resolve this issue at this level. Thank you.
Mayor Wayne.
So how do I feel? Definitely disappointed, right? Considering the many challenges that the mayors continue to be faced with. You know, I would have appreciated the communication and the open dialogue with the executive team. More importantly, you know, I think a lot of times we hear, right, that they should be calling us, we should be calling them. In this case, it's a budgeting process, right? And they also understand that there are many new mayors coming into office and having to learn how to run your village effectively also requires them talking to us a little bit more. And so, I would just appreciate the dialogue. I think the dialogue is important with regards to setting goals for our villages. Many of us continue to have challenges, whether it be with different departments, and that needs to be addressed. I think we need to have more sit-downs, not just with the executive team, but also with the legislature, right? So we can bring up these concerns, share them, and figure out a solution to help really our people on this island. It's sad that, we continue to move forward, but yet the mayor's offices are still way behind in terms of technology, in terms of, what we need in order to really service the community. When I came in, everything was, when you sign into the mayor's office, everything is done manually. I had to change things where people are signing in electronically in order to store data, just to get data in order to do grants, to do many things. So, hats off to the many mayors here, right, and their staff, more importantly, who continue to uphold the village. But I would just appreciate, a lot more dialogue, I think, with the executive office in order to address, budget concerns.
And Mayor Lizama.
Thank you. Definitely a disappointment. The $9 million is not even 50% of what we're requesting. I don't know how we would operate on a $9 million budget when we're asking for 20 million, and I'm sure that we definitely would need more than 20, but we're being conservative. So $9 million is just a disappointment. I wouldn't even say that's going to be 1/3 of our funding for the village to operate. I mean, $9 million, I don't know. But I'm hoping that moving forward, that they invite the council, the mayor's council, to come to the table to discuss the budget prior to putting out a number for us, because really we know what we really need. It is us who know what we need, what money we would need to serve our community. Just thinking of $9 million, I mean, what is that going to get us? But also, I'd like to add, with the database, and I'm glad that the council is moving forward in providing that that service for the villages, because when I came into office, database that was on the system for the village, for the residents, were wiped out. So we had to start manually. So everything that we're doing is manual until we get the system up and start our own database. So I'm kind of glad that the Mayor's Council is moving forward in providing that service to all the mayor's office so that we are tied in and that there is a system that will back up all this information, because I've had residents that came in complaining, why do they need to start this whole process all over again? Thankfully that they're understanding, of course, having to explain over and over, but, I thank them for their understanding and patience. But, again, this will serve as a backup data for all the mayor's offices. And that's something that is truly needed, because today it's all about technology. Nobody does paper anymore. Nobody does sending mail by the envelope, by postal. It's all email. So, we are trying to get to that place where, we want to do away with all the manual. Everything now is technology. So, I'm glad that that is one of the things that we're going to move forward on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lizama. And I agree. I see this in your budget, the $1.1 million request for the data management software. But Mayor Ann, if you would like to comment on this governor's request of $9.6 million versus the $20 million that the Mayor's Council of Guam is requesting.
Okay, I'm really surprised, just like everybody, that we're the last to know, especially when we're just hearing it today. Protocol-wise, you know, it's out of respect for all the mayors that the governor should have at least had a meeting and give us heads up. Not only that, but we are the voice of the people. You know, the people, they tell us all the concerns, and we address those concerns to the governor and the lieutenant governor. And just to know that, you know, just to hear that our budget is going to be 9.6 is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people now that are watching are going to be at odds at this, you know, this low budget increase. In addition, I am also supporting the database. As you, Joy Jean has been working with us on all the villages to be, you know, more or less technology on database for the constituents in our village. Presently, Dededo has about 45,000 residents over. We are not on database. We are on index cards. So we pull out the profile of each resident, and then we, you know, we typed in their verification form. So you can see what Joy Jean has seen us, you know, going through on index cards. So we're looking forward to the database, big time. Thank you.
Thank you. And really, I just wanted to give you guys that opportunity to let your voices be heard with respect to the numbers that were presented to us in this 9.6 versus what you guys are actually requesting. And Mayor, I know you kept saying it, we want to do more, but we need more. And what I have to say to that is that you show up every day for more, and now it's time to show up for you. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for all of the work that you guys do for the people of Guam.
So yeah, I just wanted to go back once again so that we're clear, and I did get an update from OFB. Essentially, this is because of the formula and the way the lump sum budget is presented. So once again, when we go back and we see that the authorized level in 2024 expenditures and encumbrances was 8.4 million. So in that situation, going forward, the 2025 level became authorized level now is 17,230, right? So if you look at the 9624, that's $1 million up from the 2024. And then we did the supplemental appropriation for the 4.5. I mean, that's my purpose for bringing that to your attention, and that is the request, because there's nothing we can do about the formula. That's the number. But, you know, that's the thing that needs to jump out at us, that if that's the case and the supplemental appropriation was there, you got to at least meet that minimum level going from there, and then your additional requests. So we'll continue to reconcile these numbers. But, yeah, it's a gulf in terms of, but I think that what's happening here is you look back to the 2024, you know, on paper with the request for 2026 looks like it's $1 million some more than your authorized level, but it doesn't take into consideration what happened in terms of the subsequent appropriations, and I think that's where we're at right now. Senator Tello-Tadigui, you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologize for having to step out. I had to attend the judiciary event, but rushed right back here and kind of watching on the sideline. You know, we women, we know how to multitask, right? Okay. Plus, whatever I missed, I will definitely be listening in YouTube, you know, rewinding the tapes to listen to your testimonies, because I'm sure each mayor has their own issues. Villages are different from each other. It's not always the same. The demographics, the size of your villages are very different. The needs, too, can be, even though there's quite a bit that are the same, like roads, major issue for every village. And being able to reach your community. But one of the things I wanted to share with you is I talked to one of the mayors who is a new mayor, and asked them, well, you know, you've been in office now for some time, how does it feel? And it was just so heartwarming when he said that, you know, I really love this job because it's so rewarding to be able to help people. And then to know exactly their problems and how it feels. It's not just, to other people, it seems like a little problem. But to a mayor, they see that it's the most important or the biggest issue of that constituent, their problem, and the issues on it. So that was just very heartwarming to hear. I mean, the job that you do, it does become very rewarding. So I appreciate that comment from my good mayor from the South. Now, you know, as I was looking through the budget for the mayors, of course, you know, substantially lower from requested, and then, you know, the times that we're having, the difficulty we're having. So we need to, you know, tighten our belts, but we need to really think outside the box too as well. So ideas and what we can do to lower the cost of certain things or to subsidize it, or what Mayor Hoffman is very good at doing is finding money through federal grants. We all know that it's tied up right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever. You know, it's just a way of, I guess, the U.S., you know, cleaning house and providing the funding for those areas that are really in need while taking away the abusive, those abusing federal funds and giving it to people who really need it. So my first question is to the director. With regards to ARP funding, have the mayors received any ARP funding? Have you expended all of it, or is there still some left over?
Thank you, Senator. So when I took the position as the director for the council, the mayors were just at the tail end of the ARPA, I believe the ARPA money, so it would be very difficult for me to respond to the activities that happened during that time. I'd like to be able to yield that to Mayor Hoffman, if I could, please.
I don't have the figures, but I know from the initial first batch of money, we spent only a portion of that, and that actually covered our maintenance, covered the personnel costs for the maintenance, because 1 year it wasn't funded, so it covered that. And then it was a little amount of money, I know, went to each district for maintenance of vehicles. And then we were trying to hold it to purchase heavy equipment, to purchase vehicles and other things, and that never happened and never came to fruition. So then just timelines expired and we couldn't get the proper, we were in between these two weird schedules. And so, you know, if we get the money released on this time, but GSA can't process anymore IDIQs or anything at this time because it's already closed out of the fiscal year. So we were always on this odd timeline that it never came. And then at the end, it just said, we got to pull it back.
So you had funding left over, but you had to return it? Is that what you're saying?
It was unspent. We had ideas of what I think we submitted 3 times what we wanted to. They said, give us your list. We provided a list. We sent it down. Send it down to BBMR, we sent it down to whoever needed to be, and then there was even questions of a lot of the mayors wanted to buy used heavy equipment because it was going to be cheaper. And they're like, no, you can't use this money to buy used, or you can't use this federal fund to supplant this fund. So it became go back to the drawing board. So we had all these great wish lists, and then it just never came through. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately, at least we got some of the vehicles maintained and tires changed, but that was kind of what we got.
Wow, that's sad to hear. That was free money. You mentioned heavy equipment, and we had DPW in here for a budget hearing earlier, and we talked about how it'd be less expensive if they did their own paving of roads, you know, with their graders or pavers and other equipment needed to repair roads. And they said they had equipment. Now, I know that the mayors call on DPW all the time and to use their equipment. But I also know that it takes time sometimes, and time is, you know, critical, you know, especially if families need it yesterday and they're still waiting. But if you were to get, I mean, what kind of heavy equipment are you looking at that DPW can't offer you? And if you were to, what is your assessment? Would you rather buy this heavy equipment, utilize it, have DPW provide, because you need to have certified people to be able to, you know, run a backhoe, to do the paver, things like that?
So in discussion with our council, we were looking at renting with an operator so that we're not having to, or leasing with an operator, so we're not having to be burdensome with the maintenance and the upkeep of the equipment.
Is that the increased amount? Last year in the contractual services, it was 150,792, and now I'm seeing it at 832,303. Yes. So is that amount? I mean, that seems awfully low, you know, when it comes to the roads and repairing of all the streets. I mean, Dededo alone, you know, that's huge. You sure that's enough?
It's not going to be enough, and
yeah.
road repair is very expensive. Just even asphalt is very expensive, and having the correct equipment, the tamping equipment, the graders, the loaders to do that. I think for us mostly it's backhoes to clear out culverts and to do pushbacks in some of these areas. Backhoes are probably the most versatile tool, but I think also getting heavy equipment that actually can do several change-outs in terms of the implements in the front, whether it be augers or graders. Those are what we're also looking at to see. So we're just trying to figure out each village is unique. I don't need necessarily a backhoe, but I need a flail mower because a lot of my areas are paved or covered. So it's different, but it is going to be the rental. And a lot of my workers went through the Trades Academy training for heavy equipment, and they're one of the last, I think they're the only ones that lasted through the whole 2-year process of it. So they're ready, they're certified, and they're just like, anytime we get a chance to operate something, they do it. But we put in the request for DPW, that's the current model right now, and then we wait for them to schedule us.
Well, that's good to know, Mayor Hoffman, you know, having your staff certified. So my point is that I think if you have an assessment, a plan, you know, where they will be stored, how they will be maintained, as well as who will operate these heavy equipment, which is desperately, I know Molesto really can use that, especially during raining season. So if we can get something like that from Mayor's office. I'm looking over here at the supplies and materials that substantially went up from 278,216. The supplies and material now is at $2.3 million.
So a lot of that, Senator, was we factored in the responsibilities or duties the mayors are currently performing that is not covered under their mandates. Again, that was expressed throughout the testimonies. These guys have mentioned earlier.
The after-school programs, the summer programs, those are materials that we need to purchase that are not necessarily within the law and are budgeted for our office operations.
So it's outside what's mandated, is what you said? That
is correct.
Yes. Okay, how much, can you break that down to how much is mandated and then how much is not mandated from the 2.3 million?
We can take a look, and also, Senator, this also covers what we actually discussed a few hearings ago with Senator Chalan. It was the need for PPEs. This actually covers that. A lot of us, that's the hardest part, is sending our guys out there to go into the trenches, and it's like, you know, they need new shoes, they need protective gear to do their jobs, and when you're trying, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. One steel-toe shoe can cost you as much as $250. So this also covers that as well. So in our ask, we're trying to see if we can get everybody that kind of just that regular allotment where they're not having to be afraid to say, pick a PPE, buy fuel, or cut the grass, and what do we want to do here? So we need actually this to complement each other and actually work together. So we need that PPE so we can cut the grass safely in a timely manner.
So let's see the division, okay? What is mandated and what is not mandated, just to see it, you know, for clarity. Of course, I don't know if somebody asked the question, but I did notice, you know, the salaries from FY26, okay, has decreased in a bit, you know, according to the budget request of 9.3 versus last year at 9.7. But however, your unclassifieds has grown to 229 from 217. So it's higher, but your request for salary is lower this year. So can you explain that?
As I've mentioned, on FY25, we requested for annual payouts for when the new mayors came in. For fiscal year FY26, we're requesting an additional 16 employees. So minus the annual payout, this is the number that we got.
Oh, okay. Well, it was odd. It just came out and glared at me. Well, why shouldn't the numbers be higher if you were requesting for more? So that brings me back to this page right here in the binder that was given. I've noticed that there was a request for a deputy executive director as well as a System Support Administrator, Computer Tech 2 and Computer Tech 1. Are these positions funded in the budget that you requested for?
Yes, it is.
So they're included?
Yes,
they're
it's
vacant.
included in
They're vacant
FY26.
right now, but you included them in your budget.
Yes.
How many more other than these 4? You said 16 total?
Yes, we have 10 recreation leaders and 2 maintenance workers.
And then 4 from the administrative
Yes.
side?
Yes.
The
Okay.
additional to the village senators are it's really to provide the villages that acquired new gyms and facilities, right?
And that was
So-
my next. Yep. Yeah, I heard that earlier before I left in your testimony. But Mayor Hoffman, with these new facilities that are up in gyms that are coming up, I mean, if anybody would know about the maintenance of these facilities are so important. We all know the story of Southern High School and what happened to that beautiful school because there was no maintenance incorporated in there. So how are you addressing the maintenance of these new facilities?
So what we did for the new designs for these new gyms, they actually used our model, which has the maintenance costs at a very low. By having an open-air gymnasium, it's a lot easier to maintain in terms of materials and supplies. So rust-proofing, floor washing, it's a lot easier than having these other size gyms. So that was one of the things that we talked about years ago when the administration was saying, we need, we're going to build new gyms. We said, why don't you kind of use our model? This is how we do it. This is what it costs us to actually maintain per year. And it kind of works out for us. And our gym's already 10 years old, and it doesn't look it because we have a regular maintenance schedule on it. And it's not something that's overbearing where it's going to require to shut down everything. It's just simple rust proofing on certain areas and re-welding in some certain areas and then change out. We've only had to repaint the floor once, and that was because the Red Cross used it during Typhoon Mawar, and there was some oil spills, some leakage from the containers that were stored in there. But other than that, it's a pretty light maintenance type of material, which is what we all aspire to do. A playground that's light maintenance, gyms that are light maintenance. We don't want something that requires millions of dollars of having to shut down and redo. So by not having an HVAC system in the gym, it's a lot easier because it's open air.
Okay. And can you tell me where in your budget is the maintenance for these buildings? What location would I find them in? Are they under supplies and materials?
It's
or
part
no,
of the
it wouldn't be
operations.
There. Underwear?
It's part of our operations, and
Okay.
so a lot of what
So
we
it's
do...
incorporated there?
It's
Okay,
incorporated
great.
there, and then
Okay.
from my grants, it's covered, so
Okay.
I write it into my grants.
Okay, great. Has GVB provided any funding for the mayors for anything coming up?
I know that they've given money for festivals and fairs. I know that it's being revisited in terms of community outreach and cultural preservation. So they are making requests in, and that it is coming out. Some of the requests are quite large, and some of them are manageable. So everything that I've seen come across, it's been going through.
There's a conversation going around about the hot bond and reinvesting into it, and that's a huge amount of money. So has the mayor's been active in making sure that their needs are also addressed? Because Tumon isn't just tourism for Tumon, it's the whole entire island.
Yes.
So have you...
Yes, there is a portion of that. We've been in discussion. We've sent surveys. We actually did park-wide surveys because one of the things that we all take pride in is our village parks and our recreation areas. And the upkeep and maintenance of that, there is a cost, but it's going to be an ongoing cost. It's not something where you can just take hot button money, throw it at it, and then say, okay, we're good. There's going to need, how do we sustain it from there? So if we're going to rebuild pavilions and benches and picnic areas and restrooms, who then does that? And that's the discussion we're having now. That's the reality we have now. It's nice to build and to do, but then it's going to fall on us. And so we're trying to figure out a way, if we give the mayors an X amount of money to actually perform these tasks regularly, like if we give you enough money to buy a heavy-duty water blaster on a trailer, that you can maintain all the parks in these areas, or riding mowers, or all these other things. So that's the discussion back and forth. I don't think any of us are looking for giant CIP investments in terms of the hot bond, because it's going to be a maintenance issue, and it's going to be who's going to operate it and
who's going to maintain it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, just a couple more questions. One, is there any lapses, Joy Jean, from
We currently are
or anticipated for the end that that's not going to be able to be spent that was
Oh,
given
no,
to
we
you?
plan to spend everything.
We're
tracking.
So that means no lapses.
That's our goal, Senator, is to obligate all the funds.
Okay.
Since I took office, we've been procuring,
Yeah.
and we've been trying our very best to meet the needs of the village with the funds we have. So a lot of it is through procurement, and that's where we would do best for them.
What is your current lapses right now?
We're looking, again, I don't want to say lapses because we're planning of spending it. That's like, we're roughly looking at 3 million at this point.
How much?
3 million.
Okay.
But those are, again, funds that are, we've identified services and goods that we need to procure.
Okay, so it's 3 million. Last question I have is, are there any overdue payments to contractors, especially with mayor's offices not being able to, pay those who they hire to mow the lawns or to, do any of that side work? How many contracts are out there that have not been paid that are overdue at least by 60 days? By 60 days.
We have quite a few vendors, Senator, that have not been...
Vendors, not contractors. Yeah.
Vendors and contractors, okay,
that
I'm
have
sorry.
not been...
/ vendor.
that have not been paid. We've processed every invoice that have come to our office. It is my policy that when the villages submit their invoices, our turnaround time to submit to DOA is within 2 days.
2 days, okay, that's good.
Again, this is all done manually.
Okay.
And I feel that is important for DOA to be able to, process and give them the time. But again, it's a struggle in that area. We have not had...
So how about how many vendors have yet to be paid?
Big vendors, about 7, which really are our main backbones, which are your Bensons, your Standard Office Supply, your National Office Supply, your ERCs, which basically is our lifeline. And I was just telling her yesterday, the most embarrassing part to go to a store is to see a memo taped on a cash register saying, do not accept any purchase orders from the Mayor's Council of Guam because we owe.
Yeah.
And when the lady saw my uniform, I said, I'm paying cash. I'm sorry. I said, I'm paying cash. And I'm buying it personally. I'm just in my uniform. Because she's like, I cannot take, I said, I'm not doing PO. And there are outstanding vendor payments, and it's been a struggle. We heard it was because of the FMIS system. We heard because it was a paperwork system. We heard it was, they blamed us back and forth. And then we also have, also as a transition of mayors in and out, it's just chasing down some receipts and files. So it's going back, having them recertified. Yes, this is still owed. This is the debt. I wish there was an easier way to pay a vendor, because when the vendors cut us off, there's nobody else that can help us.
Exactly. And so you've been doing your part. I'm glad to hear it's only taking you 2 days to get those processed and sent to DOA, but it seems to be a bottleneck over there, not being able to pay out these vendors. It's ridiculous. So I don't know, Mr. Chair. I mean, this is something that's really hindering and tying the mayor's council's hands. Every single village. It's not, just 1 or 2 villages. It's all of them. So. I hope that we can ask or send a letter to DOA and ask them why they keep holding off these payments to these vendors. They deserve it, and I'm pretty sure it's more than 60 days overdue to most of these vendors. So
some of the vendors are owed in terms of years.
Oh my God.
And so,
really?
Even
you have the money. We
have the money. We even have the authorization that you've given us to pay prior obligations.
But they won't do it.
And we're like, here, it's right here. You could do it. And they're just like, oh.
See, that's very disappointing. Okay, so go ahead, Joy.
So, Senator, I also like to, for the record, that is the reason why we actually hold some funding back because of the prior year obligation. We're seeing invoices that have not been settled. I want to say back, for a while. So we have vendors coming in, and so again, that's the real reason why having those prior year obligation in the language is important for us.
Well, I'm sure that the oversight chair will probably, try and ask you for those vendors that have not been paid, and what the money amount is, and the years it hasn't been spent, haven't been paid for, so that we can talk to DOA and find out what's going on there and try and push for it.
And even with that, Senator, I think the heartbreaking part is when a vendor, after being paid, decides, I don't want to deal with working with the government.
Yeah.
We're having to face that reality as well.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out now, where else do we get certain things that we need to operate? Yes, that vendor, they're a small business and they deserve to be paid in a timely manner, and it's their decision. And we always just wonder, I hope they change their mind. Some vendors have cut us off completely. They've been settled and paid, and I just asked her yesterday, what's the relationship like? And it's still no. They're like, there's still a hard no on us.
Well, I'm glad I made it back in time, to be able to ask these questions and see the work you're doing, because I think it's so important. And I'd like not just the mayors, but the mayor's staff. You're only as good as the people who are helping you behind the scenes. They make or break you. So I appreciate all your staff that's behind you. And thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Senator Tadigui, so while it's fresh in my mind, I've got to work off of a spreadsheet and aging. So could you please get that to our office ASAP so that we can get that off to DOA, as I do have the oversight. But I can't just make a call, send an email, send a text and say, hey, where's the cash? I need to know what I'm talking about. So please provide that to the committee, and I will get on it right away.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator.
So, I just got a few things to say, really. I'm not going to quibble with your presentation. Obviously, everyone's brought their needs forward and justified why they feel as though this is, the budget that we should pass in our budget bill. I want to mention that there is a need for the language that you're requesting. It's not in the numerical portion of your budget, so it goes into a different chapter. So with the requests that you've put forward on language and changing of positions and things, we'll have to make sure that that's structurally capable being done within the budget without being codified. Maybe that's the way to do it, is to do it in the budget and then codify it later. But we'll have to go through personnel rules and regulations with that. But please make sure you get all of that verbiage to the committee so that we can contemplate where it would go in the miscellaneous provisions. Other than that, Senator Chalahi mentioned and had asked me again on the side, like what we're talking about these federal funds, it's being alluded to and whatever else. I'm not going to shy away from it. And, the most glaring one is the Ordot-Chalan Pago mayor, has went to several senators, including myself, that, their gym is in limbo in terms of completing that. That was ARP money that has been, retracted. And that's in the millions of dollars. That's for critical things such as ensuring that the water main gets upgraded to service the building, generator housing, significant projects. So, we're faced with trying to figure out how to do that, with local monies on top of the budget process. So these are some of the things I've been discussing. These are not secrets. These are written requests. In fact, the senator has a draft bill or may have introduced a bill already, and this is what we're facing. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that, because I don't know when the Fix and Six will be out, but I also asked several mayors, please also submit your Fix and Six, because talking about the front line and the front line of the storm, going back to, once again, what we keep talking about. We know once those schools, they get the green light and it's condition 4, it's a rush to say, hey, we're done our part, and now we know the emergency plan. It's tier 2, tier 3, which means it goes to the village. It's going to first go to the village mayors and those large facilities that we have, which are those gymnasiums and the like, and we apply for these grants. We make the statement that we're going to be supporting the community in times of peril and times of trouble, and so we have to match that. But we can't do it if we don't allow these projects to be completed with everything they need to sustain an operation of sanitary, clean, operational conditions within a Tier 2 shelter. So I once again put that on the table. Maybe we have to have a couple more meetings and sit down with the front office as well. But we'll see what the final disposition of Fix and 6 is. But I can't think of anything bigger than the Mayor's Council in terms of what they have to do and their duties and responsibilities. Once again, as I said at the outset, pre, during, and post, not just regular days of life, but in times of peril and storms and other things that beset us. So with that, the committee is going to continue to work as hard as it can to get to this level as requested. The committee will also take into consideration operational functions, which you've enumerated today, which we know are crossover into other agencies, namely DPR and DPW at the top of the list. We will sit down as well and see where we can make some of those adjustments as we go forward and get ready to deliberate this in August. Thank you to all the mayors, vice mayors, and your staff and support and everyone else who's come out today. I think this is one of the biggest turnouts that I've seen in my history of deliberating budgets, and so it's obviously a representation of the need and the desire to show the legislature that you're active and that you're doing the work, and that this request is something that's based on the work that you're doing out there. So for that, on behalf of the committee and all of the legislature, Sidus Masi, like I said, somebody said, mentioned and invoked our dear Lord. Many of you serve as Eucharistic ministers, so join me in the dear Lord process as well, okay? So this will conclude this morning's budget hearing bill on 44-38 COR relative to the Mayor's Council of Guam. The committee will continue to accept written testimony on the bill within 7 calendar days from today, which may be addressed to myself, Senator Christopher M. Dueñas, as chairman of the committee, and mailed to 163 West Santa Papa, Inalahan, 96910. You may also send your testimonies to my email at senator.dueñas@guamlegislature.gov. This morning's budget hearing is now adjourned, and the time is 11:43. Almost time for lunch. Sidus Masi, we're adjourned.